Opening a 170-year-old coffin. Archaeologists stunned to find the body perfectly preserved. You've probably heard the phrase, "the city that never sleeps," used to describe New York, a place that's modern, fast-paced, and seemingly never at rest. But have you ever imagined that right in the heart of this bustling metropolis, where skyscrapers constantly rise, lies a secret that has been sleeping quietly for nearly 2 centuries? Today's story will take you back in time to uncover a stunning archaeological discovery in Queens, a place where the past and present collided in a way no one could have anticipated. It all began on what seemed like a typical workday at a construction site. Workers were digging deep into the ground to lay the foundation for a new building, but instead of just soil, rocks, and concrete as expected, they unearthed something strange: an intricately crafted iron coffin, lying silently beneath the earth like a mystery long buried by time. The discovery immediately brought the construction to a halt. Police were called to the scene. With a mix of curiosity and caution, they opened the coffin, and what they found left everyone breathless. Inside was the remarkably well-preserved body of a young woman. Her skin was still detailed, and her soft hair floated gently around her face, as if she had only just fallen asleep. At first, police suspected the body might belong to a recent murder victim, perhaps a young woman reported missing in the past few days. The lifelike appearance was so striking, it was hard to believe this was a corpse from long ago. But what forensic experts revealed afterward stunned everyone. Through chemical and tissue analysis, they determined that the young woman had not died recently. In fact, her body had been buried underground for 170 years. She had passed away in the mid-19th century, yet her body remained eerily intact. There were no signs of embalming, no preservatives, yet it seemed as though time had forgotten her. So what exactly happened? To find answers, archaeologists were quickly brought in. They regarded this as one of the most unique finds in New York City's archaeological history. What puzzled them wasn't just the body's extraordinary preservation, but also certain distinct features found on her skin. On her forehead and chest, experts identified signs characteristic of smallpox, a disease that once struck fear into the hearts of people across the 18th and 19th centuries. These marks weren't just medical evidence, they were haunting reminders of a dark historical period, a time before modern medicine could protect humanity from deadly epidemics. From there, historians and anthropologists expanded the investigation. By reviewing old records, they discovered that the area had once been a small 19th century cemetery for local residents. According to burial customs of that era, some wealthy or medically informed families believed that placing a body in an airtight iron coffin could protect it from the ravages of soil and time. But even with such expectations, no one could have imagined that the coffin's effectiveness would far exceed scientific predictions, preserving a body almost perfectly after nearly 200 years. The young woman, whose identity remains uncertain, was later honored with a formal memorial service by the archaeological team, as a tribute to history and a memory long forgotten. The image of the iron coffin, the smallpox scars, and the miraculously preserved body raised countless questions. How many more secrets of the past are still buried beneath our feet? Can modern science truly explain these impossible phenomena? Or is there a part of history that can only be felt with awe and reverence? This 170-year-old body isn't just a shocking moment in archaeology. It's a reminder that beneath the solid concrete of a modern city lie the human traces of generations past, silent souls telling their stories in their own quiet way. And who knows, perhaps in the next chapter of this unfolding discovery, we will find even more, living evidence of history, voices long buried by time, waiting to be heard. So, are you curious to know what archaeologists have uncovered in recent years? If so, join me in the next part of this journey, where we'll trace the remnants of forgotten cemeteries, ancient burial rituals, and mysteries that time simply couldn't bury. 140-year-old shipwreck, discovered off the coast of England. Lying deep beneath the sea off the coast of England for nearly a century and a half, the wreck of the SS Nantes had long been hidden by time and ocean, like an unhealed wound in maritime history. But in 2024, it was a tiny fragment of porcelain, seemingly worthless, that turned out to be the key that unlocked the door to the past. The SS Nantes, a cargo vessel operated by the Cunard Steamship Company, vanished in 1888 after a tragic collision with the German ship Theodor Ruger. It was finally identified thanks to the relentless dedication of diver and explorer Dominic Robinson, who has spent over 3 decades of his life exploring the ocean floor. During one of his dives searching for unidentified shipwrecks off the coast of Cornwall, England, Robinson, a 50-year-old former military officer with 35 years of diving experience, stumbled upon a broken piece of porcelain. Despite decades of erosion, the emblem of the Cunard Steamship Company remained visible on its surface. That small detail turned out to be the crucial clue, confirming that the wreck buried under layers of sand and seaweed for 136 years was in fact the SS Nantes, a vessel once considered lost forever. Built in 1874, the SS Nantes was a cargo ship operated by Cunard. In 1888, at just 14 years old, the vessel was on a voyage from Liverpool, England to Le Havre, France, when it was struck by the German sailing ship Theodor Ruger. The collision ripped a massive hole in the side of the Nantes. In a desperate attempt to save the ship, the crew used anything they could find, canvas, even mattresses, to plug the breach, but their efforts failed. The ship drifted for several hours before finally sinking to the ocean floor, claiming the lives of 23 people. Only 3 survivors made it through the maritime disaster, a tragedy that historian Dr. Harry Bennett has called a heartbreaking incident, far too long forgotten. The bodies of the unfortunate sailors later washed ashore on the coast of Cornwall, mixed with shattered pieces of the shipwreck, leaving behind a haunting memory in the minds of local residents. At the time, without GPS or advanced sonar technology, the shipwreck was all but lost to the abyss of the sea. Although there had been attempts to locate it in the past, no one could positively identify the wreck, until Robinson and his team took on the task. Footage from the underwater site, where the ship's remains lie still, rusted and blanketed in sand, has been spreading rapidly across social media, capturing attention from both researchers and the wider history-loving and archaeological communities. Even Dr. Bennett, a maritime historian at the University of Plymouth, remarked, "This is a true underwater investigation. Searching for a needle in a haystack is not just a metaphor, it's exactly what this was." And the local dive team achieved the impossible. The identification of the ship was not based solely on the porcelain fragment bearing Cunard's logo, but also on the hull structure, construction technology, and the wreck's length, measured at approximately 240 feet. After cross-referencing images and historical records, researchers concluded there is no longer any doubt. This is the SS Nantes. For Robinson, this was not just an archaeological discovery, it was a deeply human journey. "One of the things that keeps me going," he shared, "is the thought that by solving mysteries and telling forgotten stories, I'm helping these souls be remembered." It's a sad story, but at least now it has an ending. The discovery of the SS Nantes not only closes one of Britain's oldest maritime mysteries, but also proves that history, even when buried beneath the depths of the sea, can rise again, thanks to the tireless passion of those brave enough to venture into the darkness in search of the light of truth. Elixir in an ancient tomb reveals the tragic life of its owner. Nestled along the majestic Yangtze River, Nanjing, the former capital of 6 major dynasties in Chinese history, has long been regarded as a vast treasure trove of culture and history, a place where countless untold stories remain hidden. It's no coincidence that this land earned the title the ancient capital of 6 dynasties, once a bustling political and cultural center of the East. But in 1990, a chance archaeological discovery shook the academic world and opened a door to a mystery buried for over 1,600 years, the tomb of Wong Bin, a nobleman from the Eastern Jin dynasty. Wong Bin's tomb was found in an almost completely intact state, featuring a solid structure and intricately carved designs that reflected the power and status of its owner. What excited archaeologists wasn't just the grandeur of the tomb, but also the hope of uncovering valuable artifacts that could bring to life the world of Eastern Jin aristocracy, a dynasty known for its flourishing culture during a period of relative political stability. True to expectations, excavation revealed a wealth of ancient artifacts, from exquisite ceramics and rare jade to imported foreign items. Among the most astonishing finds were glass goblets dating back to the Byzantine Empire and even Western Europe. This remarkable discovery demonstrated that as early as the 4th century, Eastern Jin elites had some level of trade with Western civilizations, something previously believed to be common only during the Tang or Song dynasties. The presence of these imported items not only revealed the refined aesthetic taste of the aristocracy, but also provided compelling evidence of a transcontinental trade network in ancient times. However, the story didn't end there. During the survey of the tomb's main chamber, researchers encountered a highly unusual phenomenon in Chinese burial history. Alongside Wang Bin's remains lay the skeleton of a young woman. Her identity was later confirmed to be Wang Danhu, Wang Bin's eldest daughter. This detail deeply puzzled scholars. According to traditional Confucian customs, daughters were typically buried with their husband's family or in the ancestral tomb of their marital clan. It was exceedingly rare for an adult woman to be laid to rest with her father. So, what happened to Wang Danhu that led to such an unusual burial? As the team searched for answers, they made another surprising discovery: a small ceramic medicine container located near Wang Danhu's remains. Modern chemical analysis revealed that this wasn't just any medicine, but rather 5 minerals powder, Wu Shi San, a so-called elixir of life that was popular during the Eastern Jin period. In the 4th century, this substance gained traction among scholars, nobles, and intellectuals, who believed it could open the mind, prolong life, and even bring one closer to immortality. Wang Bin himself was thought to be a devout user of this controversial elixir. The ingredients of 5 minerals powder included quartz, stalactite, sulfur, and other minerals, most of which were rich in heavy metals, particularly mercury. Used frequently, these elements could cause intense hallucinations and drastically alter mental states. After analyzing the remaining contents of the medicine and examining Wang Danhu's bones, experts concluded that she had consumed the elixir in large quantities over a prolonged period. Tragically, this abuse severely damaged her physiology, most likely leading to infertility at a young age. This devastating outcome meant that Wang Danhu was unable to marry, a deeply significant failure in feudal society, where a woman's worth was largely defined by marriage and childbearing. Without a husband or a rightful burial place in her husband's clan, she was ultimately interred alongside her father, a rare and sorrowful exception in the annals of Chinese history. The pills buried with her were not only evidence of misplaced belief, but also symbols of a cruel fate, a brilliant and talented woman destroyed by the very elixir her era revered. Originally known as Han Shi powder, 5 minerals powder was first documented by the famed physician Zhang Zhongjing, intended to treat fevers and typhoid. Over time, however, it was altered by alchemists into a toxic mixture that promised longevity. With its hazardous components, especially mercury and calcined quartz, it became a forerunner to opium, seducing both body and mind and leaving behind irreversible consequences. Today, the tomb of Wang Bin and Wang Danhu is more than just an archaeological relic. It stands as a solemn warning from the past, a reminder of the price of blind faith in the promise of immortality. And within those once revered elixirs, we find the haunting human cost of misplaced hope, one that continues to shock future generations as the truth emerges from the dust of history. Mysterious bronze discs in a 1,900-year-old tomb. Buried deep beneath the dry soil and rock of central Israel, archaeologists have just uncovered a truly unique find that's sparking international fascination. 4 exquisitely crafted bronze discs engraved with fierce lion heads, recovered from a tomb dating back approximately 1,900 years. The Israel Antiquities Authority, IAA, has confirmed that these artifacts were found at the Khirbet Ibreka Archaeological Site, a once thriving hub of ancient communities named after a nearby Ottoman period Islamic tomb, a long-standing symbol of regional power. What astonished archaeologists was not just the rarity of these bronze discs, but also their arrangement and purpose, which have never before been clearly documented. According to Dr. Eli Haddad, the excavation leader, these discs likely served as integral components of metal-handled bands used to lower or raise the wooden coffin into the burial shaft. Each disc bears a vividly embossed lion head, an ancient emblem symbolizing strength, authority, and protection against evil. A small hole above the lion's mane suggests they were designed to anchor onto a metal handle system, as though forming part of a ceremonial burial apparatus. What's particularly intriguing is that all 4 discs and their associated handles were neatly stacked at the southern end, the narrowest point of the tomb. This deliberate placement, rather than random or natural movement, points to a purposeful ritual act, perhaps marking the culmination of a ceremony or preserving the lion's power at the sacred head of the tomb. Surrounding the burial, archaeologists also uncovered 12 glass vessels, likely used to hold oils or funeral substances, a large iron nail still embedded in decayed wood, probably a coffin remnant, and fragments of human bone. By contrast, nearby tombs, some intact and undisturbed, contained no grave goods. This disparity underscores the unique ritual and symbolic importance of this particular burial. Stratigraphic evidence indicates that Khirbat Ibreka served as an active settlement across multiple eras. Roman period remains, 63 BCE, 323 CE, including 8 ancient burials dating to the 1st or 2nd century CE, align with the Disca's approximate age. Byzantine era, 324 to 638 CE, remains, like oil and wine presses, further suggest a long-standing, vibrant cultural landscape. The lion motif in ancient cultures was widely recognized. The earliest known lion head bronze disc dates to the 5th century BCE in Olynthus, Greece. In Israel, about 40 similar artifacts have been found, usually as door knocker rings with lions gripping a metal ring. But the Khirbat Ibreka discs came with their handles separately placed and without the lion biting a ring, adding to the mystery of their intended function. A parallel discovery at a Roman cemetery in Tel Dor featured 4 lion discs placed at the tomb's corners, perhaps left in place after interment. But at Khirbat Ibreka, the coordinated stacking of the discs accentuates their ritual or symbolic role even more. While the lion's image commonly symbolizes guardianship, power, or the departed soul's strength, the specific cultural identity of the tomb's occupant remains unknown. Dr. Haddad suggests the burial might reflect non-mainstream religious practices, possibly belonging to indigenous Roman citizens or a Hellenistic-influenced group. But the evidence isn't definitive yet. For archaeologists and symbol researchers, this discovery goes beyond simply expanding the artifact record. It offers a vital clue, a gateway to deeper understanding of ancient funerary rites, symbolic systems, and cultural interactions in a region once at the crossroads of empires. Now, after 19 centuries of silence, the lion-headed bronze discs are roaring anew, demanding that we listen to the stories they've guarded at the edge of time. Underground city, 2,000 feet beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza. While the world's eyes have gazed for thousands of years at the towering stones of the Giza pyramids, immortal symbols of ancient Egypt, perhaps the most shocking discovery lies not on the surface, but hidden deep beneath the earth, at a depth of nearly 2,000 feet. An Italian research team has made a bold announcement that has stunned the international archaeological community. They claim to have discovered a massive subterranean complex beneath the Pyramid of Menkaure, one that, if confirmed, could challenge conventional knowledge of ancient Egyptian civilization and rewrite the roots of human history. This discovery was made using ground-penetrating radar, GPR, enabling the researchers to see through tens of meters of stone and sand. What emerged on their 3D subsurface maps was not just simple cavities or natural caverns, but a network of corridors, stone pillars, and spiral shafts stretching hundreds of feet, remarkably similar in layout and scale to subterranean structures documented beneath the nearby Pyramid of Khafra. Professor Riccardo Biondi, the project's lead, stated, "We have 90% confidence that this system is real, and if so, it suggests the pyramids are merely the visible part of an enormous infrastructure built long before the dynastic era." Biondi's team did not rely solely on radar imaging. They conducted geological surveys, compared stratigraphic data, and cross-referenced findings with previously halted or unpublished excavation reports. One of their most dramatic findings, a colossal spiral stone pillar, unlike any architectural form known in ancient Egyptian construction, extending downward nearly 2,000 feet. This far surpasses any known underground structure in Egyptology to date. The team went further, hypothesizing that this complex could be the work of a civilization dating back 38,000 years, a timeline far older than any recognized organized human society. However, this revolutionary claim has its critics. Zahi Hawass, the renowned archaeologist and former Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, dismissed the theory as unscientific speculation, warning that the conclusions were drawn from imprecise radar data in the Giza desert, without actual excavation to validate them. Undeterred, The Italian team continues to release data and images, even proposing a theoretical model of the underground structures as an ancient ecological network, a system that may have harnessed elements like water, earth, fire, and air to sustain life or operate mechanisms beyond our current understanding. Radar scans reportedly reveal symmetrical chambers, ventilation shafts, and vertical wells, each arranged according to sophisticated mathematical principles echoing the Fibonacci sequence and golden ratio. Some independent researchers have even speculated that this structure could be an earth machine, analogous to the ancient Antikythera mechanism of the Greeks, a device engineered to interact with natural energies. If confirmed through future excavation, this discovery could shake the foundations of Egyptology, and more broadly, our understanding of human evolution. Were we truly the first advanced civilization? Or did an earlier culture possess the knowledge to build colossal structures not only above ground, but deep into the earth, like an underground labyrinth? Such questions once raised cannot be ignored. Though the scientific community remains divided, one thing is clear. The Pyramid of Menkaure, seemingly stripped to its individual stones, still guards secrets beneath its surface. And perhaps beneath layers of sand and rock lies a gateway to a forgotten era, an era history is not yet ready to record. A 3,000-year-old Maya city, hidden deep in the Guatemalan jungle. Hidden for millennia beneath the dense jungles of Central America, the Maya civilization seemed destined to remain only a relic of the past, ruins fading into obscurity. But in late May 2025, a groundbreaking archaeological discovery shook the scientific world, prompting calls to rewrite history. In Guatemala, once the heartland of the ancient Maya culture, archaeologists unearthed a vast and mysterious complex featuring pyramids, an intricate canal system, and previously unknown ceremonial centers. These were not mere fragments of history. They formed a fully developed urban triangle spanning 3 sites: Los Abuelos, Petnal, and Cambrian. What makes this discovery extraordinary is not only the scale of the constructions, but also the apparent urban planning that connected them thousands of years ago. According to Guatemala's Minister of Culture and Sports, these ruins belong to a Maya civilization dating back nearly 3,000 years. This find promises to provide crucial evidence of the Maya's sophisticated development, once regarded as one of humanity's greatest wonders. The sites lie about 13 miles from the ancient Maya city of Uaxtactún. At Los Abuelos, meaning grandparents in Spanish, archaeologists discovered a sacred ceremonial center filled with temples and stone statues. 2 stone human figures found here suggest a rich and refined religious culture. Luis Rodrigo Carrillo, Deputy Minister of Culture and Sports, stated that Los Abuelos is likely one of the region's most important ritual centers, offering major clues about early Maya social organization and belief systems. Eastward lies Petnal, home to a pyramid soaring some 108 feet high, comparable to prominent structures at Tikal. Petnal's uniqueness lies in 2 chambers inside the pyramid, adorned with mysterious symbolic murals. Archaeologists are currently decoding these symbols, hoping they will shed light on ancient Maya religion, art, and philosophy. Further along, about 3 miles from Los Abuelos, is Cambrian, where an unexpected discovery was made, a canal system within a palace complex. This astonished scientists, revealing that Maya hydraulic engineering and urban planning were far more advanced than previously assumed. Archaeologists believe these canals served not only irrigation purposes, but also symbolic or ritual functions. Together, these 3 sites form an urban triangle never before recorded in any ancient document. Their deliberate arrangement suggests they were not scattered settlements, but a clearly structured metropolitan area, proof that the Maya organized large-scale society and architecture very early in their history. Interestingly, these discoveries are no accident, but the result of a large-scale collaborative project between Guatemalan and Slovak archaeologists, supported by Comenius University in Bratislava. Thanks to LiDAR technology, researchers were able to see through dense jungle canopy and reveal hidden structures beneath the earth, ushering in a new era of Maya civilization research. Not long before this, in April 2025, archaeologists at Tikal, just 14 miles south of Uaxtactún, excavated a 1,700-year-old altar containing human remains. Remarkably, this altar featured an artistic style attributed to artists from Teotihuacan, a civilization hundreds of miles away. This cultural exchange proves the Maya were not isolated but maintained complex relationships with other major Mesoamerican civilizations. Long celebrated for achievements in mathematics, astronomy, architecture, and writing, the Maya continue to reveal new pieces of their story. Each newly uncovered complex, statue, and ancient glyph brings us closer to understanding the spiritual, social, and technological world of a civilization that once flourished brilliantly in Central America and mysteriously vanished. This newly discovered urban triangle, with its towering pyramids, sophisticated canal system, and symbolic ritual centers, is not only a milestone in Maya archaeology, but a vivid testament to the grandeur and intelligence of ancient peoples. As the layers of earth and stone are peeled away, Maya history no longer remains faint words in dusty tomes, but is waking up vividly and compellingly here in the 21st. Ancient Roman spa reveals secrets of Pompeii's elite. Hidden for nearly 2 millennia beneath the thick ash from Mount Vesuvius's volcanic eruption, the ancient city of Pompeii continues to astonish the world with secrets uncovered layer by layer. This time, a recent excavation in Area 9, one of the city's most important archaeological zones, has brought scientists closer to understanding the luxurious lifestyle of Pompeii's Roman elite. The story began inside what appeared to be an ordinary residential house, where archaeologists discovered an extraordinarily lavish private spa complex, a space not only designed for bathing and relaxation, but also serving as a stage to display the power and status of its elite Pompeian owners. According to the Pompeii Archaeological Park's announcement on January 17, 2025, the complex features classic architectural elements of ancient Roman baths, including a hot room, caldarium, a warm room, tepidarium, a cold room, frigidarium, and a spacious changing room equipped with benches for guests. Notably, the cold room is a covered courtyard measuring approximately 33 by 33 feet, centered around a large pool. This design served both cooling functions and symbolic purposes, acting as a striking visual focal point. Everything was carefully arranged to recreate the image of a Greek-style gymnasium, a common feature in the luxurious Roman villas where culture, physical wellness, and social power seamlessly intertwined. Beyond its architectural value, the spa directly connects to an opulent banquet hall adorned with black background frescoes, a style often used to heighten contrast with brightly colored details, creating an atmosphere of mystery and sophistication. It was here that lavish feasts once took place, filled with aristocratic ritual and ceremony, where every step and glance of the host formed part of a social performance. Gabriel Zuchtriegel, director of the Archaeological Park, described the complex as a stage production, with the homeowner as the star center stage, every detail choreographed to enhance his image and status. This scene evokes the famous opening of the Satyricon by Gaius Petronius Arbiter, a 1st-century Roman satirical novel, where Trimalchio, a newly rich man, invites guests to his house, beginning with shared relaxation in the baths and immersion in extravagant hosting rituals. Such discoveries show that owning a private spa was not merely a sign of wealth, but a means to flaunt culture and personal power within society. Finding this spa inside a residential house, not a secluded villa or public bathhouse, further highlights the extravagant lifestyle some Pompeians could achieve. This confirms that the house belonged to a locally influential figure, someone with not only economic means, but also ambition to craft a respected and admired social identity. Bathing, resting, and hosting feasts here were not purely personal activities, but ritualized social events, opportunities to assert and reinforce social standing. This find is part of ongoing excavations in Pompeii's Area 9, which was completely buried by the catastrophic eruption of 79 AD. Alongside the spa, archaeologists have uncovered a bakery, a house under renovation, and numerous rooms decorated with exquisite frescoes. These discoveries provide clearer insight into Pompeii's daily life while helping reconstruct the social stratification and refined cultural aspects of ancient Roman society, where everything from banquets to baths served as instruments of power. More than 2,000 years have passed since Pompeii was entombed under volcanic ash, yet every stone, fresco, and ancient bath quietly tells timeless stories of a world both magnificent and decadent, where power, art, and luxury converged in every living space. And now, through archaeological finds like this mysterious spa, we are once again invited into that world. A world that may have fallen but has never vanished from humanity's imagination. Fascinating, isn't it? 8,600-year-old bread. The mystery from a kiln at Çatalhöyük. In the sun-soaked and windy plains of Konya in southern Turkey, where time seems to stand still beneath layers of ancient earth, archaeologists have uncovered an 8,600-year-old piece of fermented, unbaked bread. This discovery has not only ignited scientific curiosity, but also unveiled untold stories about the Neolithic inhabitants, people who lived, ate, and left the earliest marks of civilization at the archaeological site of Çatalhöyük. Specifically, in an area known as Mikono 66, part of Çatalhöyük's ancient mud brick architecture, archaeologists from the Applied Science and Technology Research Center at Necmettin Erbakan University, BITAM, discovered the remains of a destroyed kiln. Beyond the collapsed bricks, they found a series of domestic artifacts: wheat, barley, legumes, and notably, a small circular fragment about the size of a palm, roughly 4 by 4 inches, containing a millennia-old secret. When researchers examined this fragment under an electron microscope, they revealed a microscopic world never before documented in archaeological records. Tiny air pockets within the material, clear signs of fermentation, along with intact starch grains, confirmed it was a piece of bread, but not the bread we know today, rather a dough mixture of water and flour that had fermented and was prepared for baking. Yet for some reason, the process was never completed. The fragment even bore the impression of a finger on its surface, an unexpected moment frozen in time, as if its maker had just released it minutes ago, not 8,600 years in the past. Professor Ali Umut Turktan, head of the excavation team and one of the leading archaeologists from Anadolu University, called this find unprecedented in history. He emphasized that this was the first archaeological evidence showing Neolithic people not only made bread, but also applied fermentation techniques, a complex step requiring deep understanding of how food reacts over time and under environmental conditions. Biologist Salih Kavak from Gaziantep University also contributed to the chemical analysis, confirming the presence of plant-based organic compounds in the sample. Microscopic traces indicated that the bread was carefully prepared for baking right next to the kiln, reflecting a settled lifestyle where humans no longer relied solely on hunting and gathering, but had developed sophisticated food processing techniques. What makes this discovery extraordinary is not just its age, but the context in which it was found. Çatalhöyük, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, was home to about 8,000 people between 10,000 and 2000 BC. Unlike scattered villages of the time, Çatalhöyük had the layout of a compact city with tightly connected mud brick houses, no streets, and residents moving across rooftops. These inhabitants left behind murals, fertility figurines, and now a half-finished loaf of bread, offering a doorway into the spiritual and daily life of prehistoric humans. The remarkable preservation of the bread fragment is likely due to a thin layer of clay that covered the kiln area, inadvertently creating a sealed environment that protected organic materials from decay for thousands of years. Amidst the layers of time's dust, what remains is not merely a piece of fermented dough, but a testament to the intelligence, craftsmanship, and untold stories of ancient peoples. This discovery adds a new chapter to the history of human cuisine and raises profound questions about the sophistication of early societies. They not only farmed, built homes, and organized communities, but also created symbolic products like bread, a food that has bonded humanity across millennia and remains a symbol of life and sharing in cultures worldwide today. And now, from the depths of Çatalhöyük's earth, this ancient bread tells us a story of a meal unfinished, an ordinary moment of ancestors, and the tiny yet enduring traces that have accompanied humanity throughout history. The oldest pearl town in the UAE. Nestled amid the turquoise waters of the Persian Gulf, Sania Island, a tranquil island off the coast of Al-Quwain in the United Arab Emirates, UAE, has suddenly become the focal point of global archaeology, following a spectacular discovery that sheds light on the region's long and complex history as a thriving commercial hub. On January 20th, during a large-scale excavation, archaeologists uncovered an ancient pearl town, believed to be the oldest ever found in the Gulf region, a vivid testament that humans here built communities, developed crafts, and lived stably thousands of years ago. According to the research team from the Al-Quwain Department of Tourism and Archaeology, in collaboration with the United Arab Emirates University, the Italian Archaeological Mission, and the Institute for the Study of the Ancient World at New York University, the town dates back to the late 6th century, during the pre-Islamic era, before the Prophet Muhammad founded Islam in the early 7th century. Spanning more than 75 acres, this town was home to thousands of people, featuring hundreds of diverse houses ranging from modest, densely packed dwellings to large buildings with courtyards, clear evidence of social stratification within this ancient community. What is particularly remarkable is that the Pearl Town lies just south of a 400-year-old Christian monastery previously discovered on Sinai Island. This has led scientists to hypothesize that the inhabitants might have been Christian, reflecting a far more diverse and rich cultural and religious landscape than previously understood about the Arabian Peninsula before Islam. From this very place emerged an industry that once made the region a prosperous commercial center: pearl diving, now gradually revealed layer by layer through soil strata, scattered shells, and forgotten diving tools. Associate Professor Timothy Power, an archaeologist at UAE University, noted that this is the first material evidence confirming the existence of ancient Khaliji pearl towns, the direct ancestors of modern cities like Dubai. He described the homes as being built from coral stone and lime mortar, materials sourced from the surrounding environment, with closely packed layouts reflecting a densely settled lifestyle and year-round habitation, unlike the seasonal pearl camps commonly known from history. In many houses, archaeologists found clear traces of pearl diving, tiny pearls left embedded in the soil alongside diving aids, such as lead weights, which help divers sink quickly to the seafloor within a short time. This not only indicates the sophisticated techniques involved, but also reveals the harsh conditions and risks ancient divers faced in pursuit of this natural treasure. Statistics show that only one pearl is found in every 10,000 oysters, meaning millions upon millions of shells were harvested, leaving behind massive ecological shell mounds still felt beneath the feet of island walkers today. The pearl industry was not only an economic activity, but also a profound cultural symbol of the Persian Gulf region. According to the Al-Quwain Department of Tourism, pearl diving has existed here for more than 7,000 years. By the 19th century, nearly two-thirds of men in neighboring Abu Dhabi participated in pearl harvesting, a testament to the industry's vital role in Gulf life before the advent of oil. However, with the emergence of cultured pearls and the Great Depression following World War I, the natural pearl industry rapidly collapsed. Thus, the discovery of this ancient pearl town holds not only archaeological significance, but also serves as a timely reminder. As the UAE, a nation once booming on oil wealth, faces the challenge of shifting its development model amid the climate crisis and global carbon reduction goals, the millions of years old discarded oyster shells stand as vivid symbols of the ecological limits of resource exploitation, a historical lesson on prosperity and sustainability. With plans to develop Sinai Island into an archaeological tourism site, the UAE demonstrates a commitment to blending conservation with sustainable growth. More than just a tourist destination, the ancient pearl town will tell the story of people who lived over 400 years ago, those who dove deep into the ocean, built a town on the sand, and left us a precious chapter etched in the blue heart of the Gulf. The 10 horrifying and mysterious archaeological discoveries in recent years that frightened experts. A nearly intact Korean royal tomb after 1,000 years. Kaesong, the former glorious capital of the Goryeo dynasty from 918 to 1392, has now become the center of global attention after North Korean archaeologists discovered a royal tomb dating back nearly 1,000 years. It has been identified as the final resting place of King Sukjong, the 15th ruler of a dynasty that once reigned across East Asia. The story began with a team of experts from the National Heritage Preservation Agency and the State Academy of Sciences of North Korea, who spent months studying, analyzing soil layers, and ancient traces to precisely locate the tomb. Then followed 20 days of continuous excavation, finally revealing the entrance to the deep underground chamber, a place holding the soul of an era long past. The tomb measures approximately 95 feet in length, divided into 3 separate sections, separated by thick layers of earth and rock, indicating a complex architecture and an extremely meticulous effort to build an eternal resting place for the emperor. Yet, what astonished the most was the remarkably well-preserved state of King Sukjong's body, who ruled in the late 11th century, born in 1054 and died in 1105. Nearly 1,000 years after his passing, his remains still retain their original form, leaving scientists both amazed and puzzled. Was there a special embalming technique used? Or did Kaesong's unique soil and environmental conditions preserve the king's body naturally? These mysteries are now under scientific investigation, opening a completely new approach to preservation science in East Asian civilization. It's no coincidence that Kaesong became the site of this monumental archaeological milestone. This city was once the political, religious, and cultural heart of the Goryeo Kingdom, the center of supreme power in Buddhism during its golden age. The discovery of King Sukjong's tomb here not only carries immense symbolic value, but also helps historians corroborate ancient records about Kaesong's role in the formation and development of Korea's history. King Sukjong is recognized for promoting numerous reforms and playing a vital role in modernizing the kingdom at that time. One of his most notable achievements was issuing the first official currency in Korean history, marking a clear shift from a barter economy to a monetary system. Furthermore, the establishment of the second capital, Namgyong, known today as Seoul, demonstrates the king's strategic vision in expanding territorial influence and developing a new administrative center for the nation. Thanks to these major decisions, the Goryeo Kingdom under Sukjong entered a period of stability, development, and deeper integration with neighboring cultures. Therefore, his tomb is not only a burial site, but also a cultural treasure, preserving the legacy of a glorious era. Each layer of earth and rock unearthed is a page of history being turned. Every artifact discovered inside could be a key to deeper understanding of the life, beliefs, and social system of that time. Because of this, archaeologists see this discovery not merely as historical evidence, but as a priceless opportunity to reconstruct the full panorama of the Goryeo civilization, a civilization once considered a bridge connecting ancient China and Japan. Currently, scientists are conducting further in-depth analyses of the remains, artifacts, and architectural structures inside the tomb to learn more about construction techniques, royal funeral rites, and the lifestyle of the elite during that period. Every clue uncovered could lead to unexpected breakthroughs in decoding medieval Korean peninsula history. This discovery not only offers humanity a more authentic view of a historically mysterious period, but also proves that beneath the seemingly lifeless soil of Kaesong, many secrets are still waiting to be awakened. And as each ancient stone is lifted from the ground, we not only touch tangible heritage, but also listen to whispers from the past, a past once radiant and powerful, now slowly coming back to life through every archaeological dig. Fascinating, isn't it? The lost legs of a 3,000-year-old Egyptian queen. In the world of archaeology, where the past is always hidden beneath thick layers of dust and time, sometimes a small bone fragment, a piece of mummy cloth, or an otherwise insignificant object can open up an entire lost chapter of history. And this time, the restored piece is not just a missing part of a body, but the final piece in the story of one of the most legendary women of ancient Egypt, Queen Nefertari. More than a century after her tomb was discovered, scientists have finally confirmed that the mummy legs long suspected and debated over are indeed hers, the symbol of beauty, power, and wisdom of the pharaoh Ramses II's dynasty. The journey to identify these legs began in the Valley of the Queens, the resting place of Egypt's queens and princesses during the New Kingdom period. In 1904, the lavish tomb believed to be Nefertari's was excavated. Its walls were adorned with stunning paintings depicting a noblewoman standing beside the pharaoh in majestic splendor. However, inside the tomb, her body was incomplete. Apart from funerary items and evidence confirming this was the resting place of a royal figure, only a dismembered pair of mummified legs was found. For over 100 years, the question lingered: do these legs really belong to Nefertari? Such doubts were understandable. This land, scattered with hundreds of ancient tombs, had seen many disturbances, including tomb reuse, floods washing away artifacts, and plundering over thousands of years. The Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens are like underground museums, beautiful yet chaotic, grand yet disorderly. In such a context, nothing could be taken for granted. Even artifacts found inside a tomb might not belong to the person portrayed on its walls. To pierce through this historical fog, an international research team led by Dr. Joanne Fletcher from the University of York, UK, conducted the most comprehensive analysis ever performed on a mummy's body part. The disputed legs, currently housed at the Egyptian Museum in Turin, Italy, became the centerpiece of a years-long investigation. The experts used radiocarbon dating to determine the tissue's age. Then X-rays were taken to analyze the bone structure and compare the knees with hundreds of ancient and modern samples. They went further, examining every detail of the mummification technique, from the type of wrapping cloth, the way the legs were bound, to the chemical composition of the embalming materials. The results were astonishing. The legs belonged to a woman between 40 and 50 years old, consistent with the estimated age of Nefertari at her death around 1250 BC. The wrapping cloth and embalming substances revealed an extremely sophisticated technique reserved only for royalty or the highest elite. Chemical analysis of resins and oils in the embalming materials also matched those found in other royal mummies of the same period. There was no longer any doubt. After 3,000 years of wandering, these legs belonged to Queen Nefertari, the woman whom Pharaoh Ramses II loved and honored in countless temples and inscriptions. But the significance of this discovery goes beyond simply naming a lost body part. It is a complete restoration of the image of a historical figure who embodied beauty and power. Nefertari was not only the wife of one of Egypt's greatest pharaohs, but also his partner in many significant political events. In surviving reliefs, she appears as a quintessential symbol of female power in antiquity, not merely standing behind the throne, but a silent force influencing the court. According to Dr. Fletcher, Nefertari was not just the beauty beside Ramses, but the silent strength of an empire. Now that the final piece of her body has returned to its rightful owner, the past once seemingly lost forever has come alive once again. In the quiet halls of a museum in Turin, those legs tell a story of the endurance of memory, a millennia-long journey reconnecting the broken link between humanity and history. And it is a reminder that no matter how deeply buried, historical truth will eventually be found, thanks to the intelligence, perseverance, and unending passion of those who seek light from beneath the earth. A 7,000-year-old portrait of a white woman in Africa. Amid the harsh sun and scorching sands of the Namib Desert, a place where modern life seems almost impossible to thrive, lies a discovery that has stunned both archaeologists and the international scientific community. An ancient portrait carved on stone near Mount Baika, the tallest peak in this desert, standing at 8,560 feet above sea level, has forced the world to rethink what we thought we knew about human history. What makes this artwork so unbelievably unique is its central figure, a white noblewoman dressed and styled just like a modern European woman, standing among dark-skinned people in a rock painting dated to around 7,000 years ago, roughly 6,000 BCE. This extraordinary find was first uncovered in 1927 by a French engineer during a geological survey in Kuksiti, a region adjacent to Mount Baika, an area scientists identify as once inhabited by prehistoric communities in Namibia. The painting is etched onto a large rock amidst a barren, wild land, surrounded by sand dunes towering up to 820 feet, one of the driest places on Earth. This region experiences nearly no rainfall year-round and remains sparsely populated today, mostly by dark-skinned residents, making it one of the lowest population densities in the world. In the artwork, amid images of typical sub-Saharan indigenous people with dark skin and simple clothing, stands a striking figure. A white lady with smooth, pale skin, neatly styled hair in an elegant bun, wearing a short-sleeved, finely tailored top and form-fitting pants, a fashion style that clashes sharply with our understanding of ancient African cultures. Moreover, this woman is adorned with intricate jewelry, bracelets, thigh bands, and necklaces made of delicate pearls, details so precise that many researchers insist this is not a product of imagination, but a true-to-life depiction of a real person. Professor Ibi Hilauer, a renowned archaeologist who personally examined the painting, declared bluntly that this is a highly realistic work dating back 7,000 years. His statement immediately sparked fierce debate. According to historical records and mainstream archaeology, Europeans only began to set foot in southern Africa in the 15th century. The Portuguese, Dutch, and later the British appeared in northern Namibia much later, and even the Phoenicians, skilled ancient mariners, are only thought to have passed by this region about 2,000 years ago by sea. So how could an image of a white woman with such a modern and noble appearance appear in the Namib desert 7,000 years ago? One hypothesis was that of the extraordinary imagination of prehistoric artists, but this idea quickly faced strong rebuttals. Prehistoric art, especially rock carvings, usually exhibit high fidelity to reality. Ancient artists, living in wild and challenging environments, typically recorded only what they saw, everyday events like hunting, rituals, or social interaction. The notion that they could imagine across time to depict a European woman in aristocratic attire with tight pants, a short-sleeved shirt, and elaborate jewelry is nearly impossible, especially since textile weaving and sophisticated jewelry making had not yet developed. Another striking fact is that according to historical surveys, humans only began wearing structured clothing around 4,600 years ago. Meanwhile, prehistoric Africans mostly used animal skins and plant leaves for clothing for many centuries after. This makes the existence of such a modern figure 7,000 years ago even more puzzling, raising new hypotheses. Could an advanced civilization have existed and disappeared without our knowledge? Or is this evidence of some ancient cultural exchange that mainstream history has yet to recognize? All these remain open questions. The ancient painting still stands alone in the Namib desert, defying all our assumptions about the past. Could there be something missing from human history? Could art be not only a mirror reflecting reality, but also a door opening onto truths that time tried to hide? With every step forward in archaeology, part of this mysterious veil is lifted, yet deeper questions arise, prompting us to wonder, is the history we know really the whole story? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. A 300-400-year-old Minoan tomb beneath an olive tree. Amid the peaceful countryside of southeastern Crete, where ancient olive trees have cast cool shade for hundreds of years, an extraordinary event recently astonished the Greek archaeological community. It all began when a local farmer, on a blazing hot afternoon much like any other, decided to park his car under the shade of a large olive tree in his yard to escape the heat. Little did he know, this seemingly simple act would lead to a groundbreaking archaeological discovery. A 3,400-year-old tomb from the late period of the legendary Minoan civilization, lying just beneath the land he tended every day. The car started sinking into the ground unusually, first by a few inches, then rapidly tilting to one side. Thinking a broken irrigation system had flooded and softened the soil, the farmer tried everything he could to pull the vehicle out. But when the ground gave way, instead of rocks or roots, he uncovered several ceramic coffins buried deep underground. Shocked by his find, he immediately alerted the authorities. A nationwide excavation soon began. Archaeologists rushed to the site and quickly confirmed that the farmer had accidentally punctured the roof of an ancient tomb carved into soft limestone, a typical technique of the late Minoan period, dated between 1400 and 1200 BCE. The tomb had been carefully sealed with large stone slabs and likely had a side entrance with a trench, but over time, it had been completely buried. The sinking car incident turned out to be the key that opened a door to the past, a past buried under the dust of millennia. Inside the tomb, archaeologists found two small ceramic coffins known as larnacs, distinctive containers used in Minoan burial rituals. Despite the passage of thousands of years, the bodies inside were well preserved thanks to the dry and sealed conditions. The two skeletons were found in a fetal position, knees drawn up, an ancient burial posture symbolizing beliefs in rebirth and reincarnation within Minoan culture. Alongside the bodies were two sets of ritual pots and a collection of colorful jewelry, possibly symbols of social status or spiritual significance. The tomb's condition was described as remarkable, not only because the artifacts inside were almost intact, but also because most tombs from this era have been looted or eroded over time. Finding such a pristine tomb is extremely rare. This site serves not only as a vivid testament to Minoan craftsmanship and religious beliefs, but also as a precious archive for researchers to better understand a civilization that vanished thousands of years ago. The Minoan civilization, famous for the Palace of Knossos, the undeciphered linear A script, and vibrant frescoes depicting festivals and religious ceremonies, has long been regarded as the pinnacle of prehistoric Mediterranean culture. The discovery of a tomb from the civilization's final phase in an everyday setting, not in a formal archaeological site or through scientific surveying, has reignited hopes that beneath the seemingly ordinary soil of Crete lie many untold historical secrets. Now, the two skeletons are being transported to laboratories for detailed analysis. Scientists will employ DNA technology, X-rays, and bone measurements to determine age, gender, health conditions, and diet of the deceased. Meanwhile, the burial items will be examined for dating, origin, and craftsmanship techniques, allowing scholars to reconstruct the late Minoan lifestyle, spiritual beliefs, and possibly social relationships. A strange coincidence, parking a car in the wrong spot, has unearthed a chapter of history buried underground for more than 3 millennia. It reminds us that every inch of earth beneath our feet might hide a piece of human history. Sometimes, the biggest stories don't come from grand excavations, but start from the simplest moments, like seeking shade under an old olive tree. Because beneath that seemingly quiet soil, a story once forgotten by time may be waiting to be told. The intact tomb of ancient Roman athletes. Europe is renowned for countless ancient tombs scattered across its historically rich lands, but not all discoveries bring such fascinating and unique stories as this one. Recently, in Case Ross, a little-known area on the western outskirts of Rome, rarely included in typical archaeological routes, workers accidentally uncovered an extremely rare ancient tomb. What made this find extraordinary was not only the tomb's near-perfect preservation, but also the fact that it served as the final resting place of what are believed to be Roman athletes from over 2,300 years ago, during the early years of the Roman Republic. The story began when a bulldozer, clearing the ground for an underground construction project, unexpectedly revealed the entrance to a subterranean tomb. Archaeologists quickly arrived on site and confirmed this was no ordinary grave. It was the tomb of the athletes, containing the remains of 4 individuals, 3 middle-aged men and 1 woman whose age remains undetermined. Initial findings excited researchers greatly, as the tomb was found in an unexpected location and held valuable artifacts reflecting life and culture from early Roman times. Based on a coin discovered next to the skeletons, archaeologists dated the tomb to between 335 and 312 BCE, a period when the Roman Republic was expanding and flourishing. The special coin, bearing the image of the goddess Minerva's head on one side and a horse's head on the other, inscribed with the word Romano, provided strong evidence of the tomb's date and the social status of those buried within. In addition, a large amount of leftover food in containers holding items such as rabbit, lamb, goat, and chicken remains were found, indicating these individuals were well cared for, receiving diverse and nutritious meals, a reflection of their wealth and power. Most notably, 2 curved tools known as strigils were discovered. Strigils were common personal hygiene instruments used in ancient Roman baths. Athletes used them to scrape sweat, dirt, and excess oil off their skin after training and competitions. The presence of these tools in the tomb strongly suggests the deceased were indeed athletes, a distinguished social group in ancient Rome who held important and respected roles. The quality of the glazed pottery inside the tomb further supports that these individuals belonged to the upper class or held privileged positions, possibly as socially prominent athletes or even sports officials during ancient Rome. Currently, researchers are conducting DNA tests to clarify familial relationships among the buried, while also studying pollen and plant remains to reconstruct the ancient ecosystem of the region. Laser scanning technology is being employed to create detailed maps of the entire archaeological site, searching for additional potential relics. One of the most interesting aspects is the tomb's location. Case Rosse sits on terrain shaped by ancient volcanic activity, resulting in porous soil less disturbed by farming or construction over centuries, which helped preserve the tomb intact. Nearby, when building the San Giovanni subway station, remains of a wealthy ancient Roman city were discovered, indicating this area was once a thriving center of diverse economy and culture. This newly found tomb is not only a vivid testament to early Roman sports and culture, but also opens the door for deeper exploration into the history of Western Rome, a land once forgotten, yet rich with mysteries waiting to be unraveled. This discovery reinforces that history always holds surprises, and every archaeological find helps us better understand the lives, society, and people of past eras. Now, experts worldwide are turning their attention to Case Ross, eagerly anticipating more secrets to be revealed from the Tomb of the Athletes, where the worlds of history, sport, and ancient Roman culture converge in legendary fashion. A perfectly preserved marine fossil. After 525 million years. Deep within the ancient rock layers buried beneath Yunnan Province, China, a region once submerged under a primordial ocean 500 million years ago, scientists have uncovered a rare treasure of time, an almost complete fossil specimen of a tentacled marine creature known scientifically as Gallia plumosus. What makes this discovery so profoundly striking is not only its age, dating back 525 million years, but also the near-perfect state of preservation, a feat paleontologists have dreamed of for decades. This is the first time humanity has witnessed a fully intact Gallia plumosus specimen, from its soft body and tentacle system to the microscopic structures that typically decay over time. Gallia plumosus lived during the Cambrian period, a historic era known as the Cambrian explosion, when complex life forms rapidly emerged on Earth. The ancient marine environment of that time was home to an astonishing diversity of bizarre life forms, with this tentacled species among them. With long, slender tentacles arranged in a ring around its mouth, likely used to capture plankton, Gallia plumosus is believed to have played a vital role in the food chain of the primordial ocean. The exceptional preservation of its entire structure after more than 500 million years allows scientists to better understand its survival strategies, movement, and ecological role within ancient ecosystems. Professor David Savater from the University of Leicester, UK, co-leader of the research team, remarked that this fossil is not only visually stunning, but also a rare piece of evidence that can unlock entirely new perspectives on the evolutionary history of animals. Previously, most similar fossils only consisted of small fragments, distorted or eroded by time and geological processes. But this specimen remains intact and retains soft tissue details, a rarity in paleontology, as soft tissues typically decompose completely within weeks or months. Researchers are continuing detailed analyses, including CT scanning to reconstruct three-dimensional images and microscopic surveys to identify preserved biological components, aiming to clarify the evolutionary position of this species within the tree of life. The data gathered could shed light on the development of modern animals, particularly tentacled groups such as jellyfish, corals, and mollusks, still major mysteries in evolutionary history. This discovery marks a significant leap forward in the study of Cambrian life forms and clearly demonstrates that many great secrets remain buried beneath the Earth's surface. A small, silent fossil resting for hundreds of millions of years now has the power to transform our understanding of life's origins. Perhaps this is why archaeology, though often quiet and unassuming, remains the key to unlocking the earliest chapters in the grand story called Earth's history. The 30 perfectly preserved mummies in a 4,300-year-old tomb beneath the Egyptian desert. When we think of ancient Egypt, the majestic pyramids and mysterious mummies often spark endless curiosity about a brilliant and tradition-rich civilization. Yet, few could have imagined that just recently, Egyptian archaeologists uncovered an unprecedented chapter in archaeology by discovering 30 perfectly preserved mummies buried deep beneath the ground, some 36 feet down, in a 4,300-year-old tomb located in the western desert near the Step Pyramid, one of the oldest stone structures in the world. This discovery has not only shaken the archaeological community, but also raised many questions about the burial practices and beliefs of ancient Egyptians. The tomb containing these mummies dates back to the Old Kingdom, 5th dynasty, spanning from 2494 to 2354 BCE, a period marked by peak developments in architecture and funerary art in Egypt. What makes this find particularly remarkable is that all the mummies were preserved inside limestone coffins, carefully sealed with a special kind of mortar that maintained the integrity of both the remains and the coffins for millennia. Abdelhakim Karar, the archaeologist supervising the excavation, stated that this is the first time in Egypt's archaeological history that a tomb containing as many as 30 intact mummies has been uncovered at once, an enormous and invaluable number for researchers. The site of the excavation is Saqqara, a region famous as the burial ground for ancient Egyptian nobility, which has long been plagued by illegal digs as tomb robbers sought to steal treasures. However, what stunned experts was the absolute preservation of the limestone coffins and the wooden sarcophagi inside the tomb, showing no signs of disturbance or tampering. This level of preservation is rare, especially considering that over thousands of years, many tombs in Saqqara have been looted, leading to the loss of priceless heritage. This intact state might hold the key to understanding the preservation techniques and the respect ancient Egyptian society held for their deceased. Another intriguing aspect of this discovery lies in how the mummies were arranged. Unlike typical tombs where bodies are placed inside chambers or vaults, these mummies were positioned within small wall niches inside the tomb. This unusual burial style has prompted archaeologists to hypothesize about its meaning and purpose. Could it represent a special form of veneration, a spiritual ritual, or perhaps an innovative preservation method developed by the ancient Egyptians? Answers will emerge when experts conduct detailed examinations of the mummies early next week. This analysis will not only determine the exact age, sex, and health conditions of the individuals, but may also reveal valuable insights into the lifestyles, beliefs, and burial customs of 5th Dynasty Egypt. Each mummy is a living piece of the puzzle, a treasure trove of information about a once glorious civilization whose mysteries remain only partially unraveled. Discovering 30 intact mummies in such an ancient tomb brings immense archaeological value and sparks worldwide admiration and curiosity about Egypt's history. It demonstrates the timeless abilities of the ancient Egyptians to preserve their heritage and honor their dead, enriching our understanding of one of humanity's oldest and most complex civilizations. The world's largest tomb, hiding secrets for centuries. Deep beneath Ukraine's peaceful port city of Odessa lies a mysterious underground world, devoid of sunlight and modern life, filled only with silence and cold stone walls. That is the Odessa catacombs, a vast labyrinth stretching approximately 1,550 miles, considered the largest tomb complex in the world, far surpassing the famous Paris catacombs in both scale and historical depth. Picture a tunnel running all the way from Ukraine to Paris. That's the length of this subterranean maze. Entering it could mean disappearing forever. The Odessa catacombs began forming in the early 1600s, carved largely from local limestone, the same material that gave rise to this bizarre subterranean labyrinth. As the city above built up, miners left behind a tangled network of tunnels below. Over centuries, these passages were expanded, deepened, and connected, gradually becoming a world unto themselves, completely separate from the surface. Unplanned expansions have made the system increasingly intricate. More than 1,000 entrance points are scattered throughout the city, many unknown even to locals. But the Odessa catacombs aren't just monotonous tunnels. Throughout their history, they've served as dwellings, shelters, and underground hubs for successive generations. During World War II, when Nazi forces attacked Odessa, the catacombs sheltered Soviet troops who turned them into fully functioning bases, complete with dining halls, recreation rooms, kitchens, and even hospitals. These cold walls witnessed pain, survival, and fragile hope amid the horrors of war. Today, the Odessa catacombs remain a silent witness to the past and a challenging destination for daring explorers. Many have ventured deep into these limestone depths to explore, film, and collect artifacts. Old coins, rotting military uniforms, and everyday items from turbulent times, all relics of a forgotten past. Every step into the void is more than just a physical journey. It's a voyage through layers of memory long buried. However, the Odessa catacombs are not for everyone. With no GPS signal, no lighting, few accurate maps, and an incredibly complex layout, countless explorers have become lost, never to return. Several noted disappearances, even among experienced spelunkers, are on record. Lost within the endless sameness of passages, every echo and wrong turn could lead to a silent death. This is what gives the Odessa catacombs their haunting allure, a gateway to another world where the line between life and death grows perilously thin. Unlike the Paris catacombs, with their well-known displays of millions of skulls, Odessa is less symbolic of death and more grand in its sheer scale. 5 times larger than Paris's network, its origins spanning a much longer history. Not by design, but by accident, history, war, and time have conspired to create a second city beneath Odessa. Though local authorities have sealed most entrances for safety, hundreds more remain, hidden in residential areas, backyards, and basements. long-forgotten access points that draw the bravest explorers. Each expedition into the Odessa catacombs is a test of memory, courage, and survival skills. With its deep historical roots, immense scale, and untold stories, the Odessa catacombs stand as a singular archaeological marvel and a living symbol of contrasts, light and darkness, memory and present, life and secrets buried in limestone for more than 400 years. A 5,000-year-old shirt found in an Egyptian tomb. Among the countless archaeological artifacts discovered in Egypt, a land often hailed as the cradle of one of humanity's most brilliant civilizations, a seemingly fragile, perishable shirt has unexpectedly become the center of archaeological fascination. The garment, known as the Tarkhan dress, has been dated to around 3482 BCE, making it the oldest known woven garment ever discovered in the world. What's astonishing is not only its age, over 5,000 years old, but also its extraordinary craftsmanship. From its meticulously sewn seams, the elegant V-shaped neckline, to the tiny pleats at the chest that appear to have been executed with a level of skill far beyond what we might imagine from prehistoric tailoring. Discovered in an unmarked ancient Egyptian tomb, the Tarkhan dress has remarkably survived for millennia almost intact, a near miracle for any textile made from plant fibers or animal hides, which naturally decay over time. According to Alice Stevenson, curator at the Petrie Museum of Egyptian Archaeology at University College London, most ancient fabrics found at archaeological sites are rarely more than 2,000 years old. The fact that the Tarkhan dress has lasted more than twice as long makes it an invaluable artifact, not just for its rarity, but for the insight it offers into the lifestyle, aesthetics, and social structures of early Egyptian civilization. The Tarkhan dress isn't simply a piece of ancient fabric, it's a fully constructed garment. If it were faithfully recreated today, its design could rival that of clothing sold in modern fashion boutiques. The sleeves are carefully tailored, the V-neck is stylish and contemporary, and the tiny, evenly spaced pleats on the chest demonstrate a remarkable level of technical sophistication. Such details couldn't have been accidental. They are the result of expert craftsmanship, likely carried out by highly skilled artisans living in a society with distinct social hierarchies, where the elite had both the desire and the means to commission such high-quality garments. This dress was also not a ceremonial offering or symbolic artifact. Wrinkles at the elbows and underarms suggest it was actually worn, possibly even on a regular basis, which further supports the idea that it was a real part of daily life in ancient Egypt. According to Jana Jones, a researcher at Macquarie University in Australia, only the nobility would have had the privilege to own such garments. She notes that among the items ancient Egyptians believed they needed in the afterlife, cloaks and robes were considered as important as food, cosmetics, and sacred objects. Hieroglyphic depictions of clothing resembling the Tarkhan dress were carved on tomb walls thousands of years ago, reinforcing the significant role of fashion in both the material and spiritual life of ancient peoples. Strangely, this precious artifact was nearly lost to history. After being sent to the Petrie Museum in the early 1900s, the dress was accidentally mixed in with a pile of unremarkable fabric scraps. It wasn't until 1977, during a reorganization of the museum's storage, that conservation experts realized the fabric was not just a tattered remnant, but a nearly complete wearable garment, intact in both form and construction. This discovery not only reshaped perceptions of neglected artifacts, but also emphasized the critical importance of careful conservation and cataloging in museums worldwide. Today, the Tarkhan dress stands as an archaeological icon, its value far surpassing fashion. It is a vivid testament to the sophistication and innovation of ancient people who were not only capable of building pyramids and crafting gold, but also of tailoring, pleating, and stitching with remarkable precision. It reminds us that fashion, aesthetics, and personal expression are not modern inventions, but have existed, vibrantly and beautifully, since the very dawn of civilization. The Headless Tomb of the Ancient Maya. Deep within the dense tropical jungle of Chiapas, Mexico, where the ancient ruins of the Maya Empire lie silently whispering of the past, archaeologists have uncovered a mysterious tomb beneath a temple in Bonampak, a site renowned for its vibrant, vivid, and brutal frescoes. This tomb, containing the headless remains of a man, is not merely an archaeological find, but a chilling glimpse into the darker, lesser-known aspects of ancient Maya civilization, where art, ritual, and blood intertwined in sacred spaces. Around 790 CE, Bonampak was a bustling city home to thousands of Maya inhabitants. At its heart stood a sacred three-room temple, dubbed the Painted Room for its vivid frescoes depicting the realities of Maya life, rituals, and warfare. The first room portrays the presentation of a young heir, while the third illustrates a sacred bloodletting ritual. But it is the second room that sends shivers down the spines of researchers. A fresco depicting gruesome torture, severed fingers, extracted fingernails, a warrior executed and beheaded. And directly beneath this painting, the tomb was found. The discovery was not the result of a planned excavation, but an unexpected outcome following a series of earthquakes between 2005 and 2007 that damaged many ancient structures in Bonampak. During restoration efforts, using ground-penetrating radar, archaeologists uncovered a small burial chamber beneath a layer of fine white plaster. Inside lay the remains of a man, aged approximately 35 to 42, suffering from arthritis, and crucially, headless. The tomb was rudimentary yet carefully sealed, positioned precisely where the Maya had painted the beheading scene, a placement too exact to be mere coincidence. Who was the man in the tomb? Was he the figure depicted in the fresco? A captive executed? A warrior from a rival faction sacrificed? Or perhaps a trusted member of the ruling class eliminated for political or ritualistic reasons? Archaeologist Emiliano Galaga Murrieta suggests that, while the man's identity remains unknown, the tomb's location and its unique burial style indicate he was someone of significance. Curiously, the remains were adorned with valuable jewelry, including jade earrings, a necklace, and iridescent shell bracelets, items reserved for the elite of that era. If this were a looted tomb, such treasures would likely have been taken. This suggests the tomb was never disturbed and may have been deliberately concealed. Galaga further asserts, all signs point to this being a secret ritual, a calculated concealment by the ancient Maya. They even built a shrine above it to prevent future generations from discovering it. Alongside the remains and jewelry, the tomb contained a stone knife and a gypsum flower vase, items possibly linked to sacrificial rituals. A small hole at the base of the vase may have been used to collect blood, a common practice in Maya religious ceremonies. This strengthens the hypothesis that the man was a victim of a live sacrifice, possibly offered to appease the gods. One major question remains unanswered. Where is his head? Some theories suggest the head was buried separately in a ritualistic act to enhance the sacrifice's value or to protect the soul. Researchers are conducting DNA analysis and radiocarbon dating to clarify the man's connection to others who lived in Bonampak, particularly King Chan Muan II, who ruled during the period when the frescoes were created. He could have been a betrayed relative or a high-ranking enemy warrior kept as a sacred trophy before being sacrificed in the temple. Yet, even if he was a Bonampak native, this does not rule out his role as a sacrificial victim. Among the Maya, even nobles could be offered up if necessary. Maya culture was not merely about astronomy or architectural artistry. It was a world where religion, politics, and violence merged into a rigid and fearsome belief system. The 10 most mysterious and ancient ships, suddenly discovered by archaeologists, that shocked the world. The ghost yacht, frozen beneath the Antarctic Sea, the mystery of Mar Sem Phim. Have you ever imagined a place so desolate, so brutally cold, that icy winds slash across a frozen sea with no trees, no birdsong, just ice, snow, and a vast, bottomless ocean? That's the southernmost region of our planet, Antarctica, one of the harshest environments on Earth, but also home to countless unsolved mysteries. To begin today's video, we're diving into one of the strangest tales ever to emerge from this frozen world, the journey of a ghost ship frozen beneath Antarctic waters, Mar Sem Phim, which means endless sea. Mar Sem Phim wasn't an old cargo ship or military vessel. It was a modern Brazilian yacht, owned by renowned journalist and businessman João Lara Mesquita. In April 2012, he and 3 colleagues traveled to the waters off Antarctica to film a documentary focused on the region's environment and ecosystem. But none of them could have predicted that their journey would end in such a haunting and mysterious disaster. The story unfolds on April 7th, while the yacht was anchored in a small cove called Ardley Bay, part of Maxwell Bay, about 750 miles south of the tip of South America. A sudden, violent storm struck. Winds exceeding 62 mph battered the yacht, causing it to tilt and eventually capsize. The hull was torn apart by relentless wind and waves, and all efforts to stabilize the vessel failed. Fortunately, all 4 crew members were rescued just in time by the Chilean Navy stationed at nearby base fields, narrowly avoiding a deadly tragedy. However, the real mystery began after the yacht was abandoned. The temperature in this remote sea dropped so low that the water around the vessel almost completely froze, locking it in a dense sheet of ice. In a short time, the pressure from the surrounding ice caused the hull to split open, and the yacht was pushed down to the bottom of the bay at a depth of approximately 30 feet. No one could approach Marsem Fim for many months, except for eerie overhead photos showing the vessel partially submerged like a ghost trapped beneath the transparent ice, an image both beautiful and unsettling. You'd think the story ended there, but in early 2013, João Lara Mesquita made the bold decision to return to Antarctica and attempt to recover his yacht. When weather conditions finally permitted, he and a team of divers launched a challenging salvage mission. Divers braved the freezing waters to wrap ropes around the wreck's hull, securing them to specially designed airbags placed on each side. These airbags were slowly inflated, gradually lifting the yacht to the surface after nearly a year submerged beneath the ice. When Marsem Fim finally resurfaced, it was a deeply emotional moment. The yacht was badly damaged, its hull cracked, its interior equipment nearly beyond repair, but the overall structure remained intact enough to support recovery efforts. It was later towed ashore, where scientists were able to salvage cameras, sensors, and materials related to the unfinished documentary. Sadly, although the vessel was insured for $700,000 USD, it was considered unsalvageable after 10 months beneath the frozen sea. Marsem Fim was not just a maritime accident, it was a testament to the sheer brutality of Antarctica, a place where even the most advanced machines become helpless. At the same time, the ship stood like a living tomb, a place where time seemed frozen, forcing humanity to confront its own limits. 200-year-old shipwreck, with cannon discovered off the coast of Mexico. Beneath the deep blue waters off the coast of Quintana Roo, Mexico, where sunlight filters gently through layers of waves to create a surprisingly peaceful scene, lies a hidden truth. A forgotten story from history is slowly being revealed beneath layers of sediment and coral. It is the wreck of a sailing ship more than 200 years old, bearing the clear traces of a tragic sinking, where sailors once fought desperately and in vain to survive. Recently, Mexico's National Institute of Anthropology and History, INAH, released the first official details about the shipwreck, dubbed Manuel Polanco, a maritime relic carrying mysterious clues from the 18th and 19th centuries. Although most of the wooden structure has decayed after centuries underwater, key metal components remain remarkably intact. Among them is a cannon measuring over 8 feet in length, a strong indication that this was once an armed vessel, possibly used for military transport, escorting cargo, or even naval combat. In addition, archaeologists discovered a large anchor and several heavy iron ingots, which were likely used as ballast to stabilize the ship while at sea. These artifacts have helped researchers reconstruct parts of the ship's original layout and function, though the exact date of the wreck remains under investigation. What makes this discovery even more intriguing is its location. The Chinchorro Bank, a ring-shaped coral reef that's long been one of the most dangerous stretches of sea in Caribbean maritime history. Nicknamed the Nightmare Reef, this area has claimed dozens of ships over the centuries, many of which struck the razor-sharp coral hidden just beneath the surface. Researchers believe the Manuel Polanco may have met a similar fate, crashing into the reef and prompting its desperate crew to drop anchor in an effort to stabilize the vessel in the strong currents. Sadly, their efforts were in vain. What adds another twist to the tale is the origin of the name Manuel Polanco. It isn't the ship's actual name, but rather the name of the man who first discovered and reported the wreck back in the 1990s. Manuel Polanco, now in his 80s, is a local fisherman and passionate underwater explorer who spent the 1960s and 1970s diving the reefs of this region. Over the years, he discovered dozens of shipwrecks, including famous finds like the 40 gunship and the Angel, a vessel known for transporting rare logwood from Mexico to Europe. Thanks to his dedication and persistence, archaeologists today have a solid foundation to research and reconstruct the turbulent maritime history of this coastline. Based on initial surveys, many experts suspect that Manuel Polanco was originally a British sailing vessel operating in the late 18th or early 19th century, a period marked by intense trade and naval conflict among European empires. However, to determine the ship's true nationality and function, researchers will need more time to carefully analyze recovered artifacts and cross-reference them with historical records. Was it a military ship, a merchant escort, or perhaps part of a treasure-laden convoy? These are the questions every maritime archaeologist dreams of answering. And here's something even more surprising. Manuel Polanco is just one of over 70 shipwrecks discovered in the Chinchorro Bank Reef System, making this one of the largest underwater graveyards in all of Central America. Amazing, right? Each shipwreck here carries its own unique story, stories of trade, conflict, survival, and tragedy, each a vivid reminder of the ocean's unpredictability and power. Discoveries like these are not only archaeologically significant, but also open the door to underwater museum projects, where explorers, researchers, and enthusiasts alike can come together to experience and learn from the remnants of the past. Beneath layers of seaweed and barnacle-encrusted iron, the Manuel Polanco wreck continues to whisper its long-forgotten tale, a story of courage, catastrophe, and mystery beneath the waves. And although the ship has remained silent for more than 2 centuries, its voice from history grows clearer each day, thanks to the tireless efforts of those driven by the passion to explore. Shipwreck containing billions in treasure discovered off the coast of Colombia. It's hard to believe, isn't it? What once seemed like the stuff of legends or Hollywood blockbusters has now become a stunning reality. Recently, the Colombian Navy announced one of the most astonishing maritime archaeological discoveries of the 21st century. 2 ancient shipwrecks were found off the country's coast, ships filled with gold, silver, coins, bronze cannons, and centuries-old priceless artifacts. Experts say this is not just a discovery of massive material value. It is a time capsule opening a window into the dramatic past of the Spanish Empire and Colombia's fight for independence. Among the 2 ships, one has been identified as dating back to the Spanish colonial era, a time when Spain ruled much of South America, plundering its resources and shipping vast treasures back to Europe. The other is believed to be around 200 years old, likely linked to Colombia's independence war, a period when patriotic forces did everything they could to resist colonial control. Both wrecks were found at great depths in the Caribbean Sea, uncovered through a combination of advanced seabed scanning technology and valuable archived historical data. But the most remarkable part lies within these sunken vessels. Hundreds of gleaming gold coins, antique bronze cannons, and rare European porcelain pieces dating back to the 17th and 18th centuries. According to archaeologists and historians, the gold recovered from just one of the ships alone could be worth billions of US dollars, an almost unimaginable sum for any underwater excavation in recorded history. Experts also suggest that the treasure may have belonged to the Spanish crown, wealth extracted from its colonies and shipped to Europe to fund military campaigns, or perhaps to aristocrats and merchants whose fortunes were lost to war and violent storms at sea. Currently, Colombian authorities are developing a detailed plan to recover both ships and their full collection of artifacts. The operation is being approached with extreme caution and scientific precision, involving the Navy, archaeologists, conservation experts, and the National Museum. The goal is not only to bring the treasures to the surface, but also to study them, determine their exact age and origin, and most importantly, uncover the mysteries long buried beneath the ocean and the sands of time. What makes this discovery even more extraordinary is that beyond its material value, it offers an opportunity to better understand the region's maritime history and Colombia's crucial role in the transatlantic trade routes of centuries past. The recovered artifacts could help tell the stories of hundreds of sailors, traders, and warriors, nameless figures who shaped history, now finally being heard through the fragments left behind. Furthermore, preserving and displaying these items in museums will not only help future generations better understand their national heritage, but may also establish Colombia as a major destination on the global map of underwater archaeological tourism. This could mark the beginning of a new wave of discoveries in the country's treasure-rich waters, an area often referred to as the graveyard of colonial shipwrecks. 2,000-year-old sewn boat, unearthed beneath the ancient city of Porech. Buried deep beneath the historic city of Porech, one of the oldest settlements on Croatia's Istrian peninsula, archaeologists have uncovered a discovery that could reshape how we understand maritime history in the northern Adriatic region. A 2,000-year-old wooden boat, crafted using the rare and ancient technique of sewn boat building, an almost forgotten method that has all but vanished from the modern world. This boat is believed to date back to the 1st century AD, during the height of the Roman Empire's expansion across Europe and the Mediterranean. What makes this discovery particularly remarkable is not just its age, but its astonishing state of preservation, allowing researchers to reconstruct a long-lost shipbuilding technology with near-complete clarity. The sewing technique might sound unusual to modern ears, but it was a common shipbuilding method used by ancient peoples in the region historically known as Histria, now Istria. Instead of using nails or metal bolts like we do today, ancient craftsmen used ropes made from plant fibers, animal hide, or natural threads to literally sew wooden planks together. The result was a flexible, lightweight hull that could better withstand impacts in rough marine conditions. This method was a defining feature of early communities living around the northern Adriatic Sea and had previously been known through only a few rare shipwrecks, most notably the sewn boat discovered in Zambratija near the town of Umag. However, the Porech find is even more significant. It's one of only 3 sewn boats ever discovered on land, rather than underwater. This allows archaeologists to access and preserve the vessel's structure far more easily and thoroughly. The Porech boat measures about 16.5 feet long and 5.5 feet wide, and it was designed with a single sail. Its size and structure suggest it may have been used for nearshore fishing or short-distance transportation. Miraculously, the boat still retains much of its original frame, keel, and ribs, an extraordinary feat for an organic artifact that's 2 millennia old. The reason for its exceptional preservation lies in the environment where it was found. Buried deep in damp, compact soil and sealed in thick layers of mud. This created an oxygen-deprived environment that naturally slowed down the decomposition process and protected the wooden materials for thousands of years. In essence, it became a perfect time capsule, safeguarding a lost piece of human ingenuity. More than just an archaeological artifact, this boat is a vital clue to the daily life and maritime traditions of the ancient people who once lived in Porech. Previous research has shown that this area was a bustling Roman-era settlement with a coastal landscape that extended much farther inland than today. The boat's position underground not only reflects how the terrain has shifted over centuries, but also helps reconstruct the social, economic, and maritime life of the ancient inhabitants. 2,000 years ago, the people of Porech likely used boats just like this one to fish, trade, and travel along the Adriatic. Some may have even ventured farther out to connect with other coastal communities across the Mediterranean trade network. The discovery of this sewn boat has already been hailed as one of Croatia's most important maritime archaeological finds in the past 30 years. It opens a window into the ancient craft of boat building, an art form that was not merely functional, but also a vital cultural heritage of the communities that once thrived in this region. Today, archaeologists are working to digitally reconstruct the boat, using 3D scanning and detailed analysis of every part to preserve its structure and materials for future study and museum display. When people look at the Porech boat, they don't just see aged timber faded by time, they can feel the rhythm of oars, the wind catching in sails, and the determination of seafarers who conquered the waves with nothing but their skill and hands. This 2,000-year-old boat is no longer just a relic of the past. It is a timeless message reminding us that history is always present. Sometimes it's buried just a few layers beneath our feet, waiting for the moment it can return and share its story once more. 120-year-old shipwreck, unearthed beneath the salt. The story began with a storm sweeping across Utah's Great Salt Lake, bringing winds of up to 50 mph. Nature itself, like an unsuspecting archaeologist, uncovered rotting wooden planks and rusted steel beams from a shipwreck resting not far from the shoreline. But this was no ordinary abandoned vessel. It was a crucial part of the early 20th century supply chain, when America's transcontinental railroad was expanding rapidly and required a range of logistical support systems. The ship, estimated to be between 30 to 40 feet long, was built with a combination of steel and wood. a common design for small cargo ships in the early 1900s. What stood out was how severely the hull had been corroded by salt. The Great Salt Lake's extreme conditions had aggressively oxidized the metal, while time had reduced the wooden elements to near collapse. Based on its location, size, and structural features, experts believe this vessel was likely part of a transport fleet that once operated in the area to support the construction and resupply efforts of the famous Transcontinental Railroad. These boats were essential in carrying massive quantities of lumber to construction zones and transporting goods from rail lines back to lakeside mining or logging camps. The discovery of this wreck not only holds archaeological significance, but also helps illuminate an often overlooked chapter in America's infrastructure history: the role of inland water transport in connecting early industry with a rapidly expanding railway system. In the early 1900s, when road systems were still undeveloped, boats played a critical role in transporting building materials, especially in remote and harsh environments like Utah. According to Dave Shearer, manager of the Great Salt Lake region, the size and shape of the wreck match perfectly with old documentation describing the freight boats that once served the lake. It may have been part of an unofficial yet vital logistical network that powered the industrial expansion of the United States. This discovery opens the possibility that many more shipwrecks may still lie beneath the lake's salt-crusted surface, waiting to be found. And indeed, in just the past few months, several similar finds have been reported. On the northern beaches of Florida, for example, 2 wooden boats, including one over 100 years old, were also uncovered, thanks to natural erosion and unique weather patterns. These ships are not just physical remnants. They are vivid historical markers that help us better understand the lives, technologies, and commerce of pre-modern America. Each ship recovered is like a puzzle piece in the grand mosaic of a nation's journey from wilderness to modernity. The story of the Great Salt Lake shipwreck is clear proof that the past is always present, just hidden beneath layers of earth and time. With each passing storm and every gust of wind that shifts the sands, we gain another glimpse of what once was. These rusting hulls and weathered timbers are more than decaying metal and splintered wood. They carry with them the memory of an era when people, in the face of hardship and isolation, still found ways to expand their world. And that, friends, is something truly admirable. On to 17th century Barbarie pirate shipwreck, beneath the Strait of Gibraltar. Silent at a depth of 2,723 feet beneath the deep blue waters of the Strait of Gibraltar, the narrow passage separating Spain and Morocco, lies the wreck of a 46-feet-long ancient ship recently confirmed as the first ever archaeological remains belonging to the infamous Barbarie pirates. No longer just a legend or rumor about ships plundering across the Mediterranean, this discovery is a vivid testament to a dark historical era when the seas were terrorized by manhunters, pirates specializing in capturing slaves and demanding ransom. This is not only a groundbreaking archaeological find, but also a key that unlocks a door to secrets hidden beneath the waves and buried by time for over 300 years. The sensational discovery was made by Odyssey Marine Exploration, OME, an ocean exploration company headquartered in Florida. Originally, the research team dived to survey the area in 2005, searching for the British warship HMS Sussex, which sank in 1694. However, during the expedition, they inadvertently encountered an unusual shipwreck with many distinctive features. Nearly 20 years later, after extensive analysis and cross-referencing with historical data, experts were able to announce in the journal WreckWatch that the vessel was indeed a Barbarie pirate ship, those notorious marauders who wreaked havoc across Europe throughout the 17th and 18th centuries. According to marine archaeologist Sean Kingsley, the most remarkable aspect of this discovery is that the ship was found right in the heart of the Barbarie region, the central hub of North African piracy activity for centuries. The Barbarie pirates, mainly Muslim seafarers from areas such as Algiers, Tunisia, and Tripoli, then part of the Ottoman Empire, were a nightmare for every Mediterranean maritime route. These groups operated vigorously from the 15th century to the early 19th century, specializing in capturing European merchant ships, enslaving their crews for sale in North Africa, or demanding ransom from wealthy nations. Some of their attacks even extended to peaceful fishing villages along the coasts of France, Spain, Italy, and as far as Iceland. The remains recovered from the sunken ship leave no doubt about its purpose. Supported by remotely operated vehicles (ROVs), The archaeological team observed many characteristic features of a pirate warship, including 4 large cannons, 10 smaller artillery guns, and numerous muskets, indispensable weapons for pirates during lightning raids. Additionally, the ship was equipped with a spyglass, an advanced telescope of that era, used to observe and track target ships from a distance. All evidence indicates the ship was well armed and prepared for surprise attacks at sea. The vessel's structure resembled that of a typical fishing boat, with 2 large masts bearing triangular sails and a flexible system of oars, a perfect design for deceiving targets. According to Kingsley, this deceptive appearance helped the pirates approach other ships undetected. Meanwhile, the remaining cargo, including many pots and pans manufactured in Algiers, may have been used to disguise the ship as a legitimate merchant vessel, fooling European patrols or traders. What makes this find even more valuable is its historical context tied to the decline of the Barbarie pirates. By the early 19th century, after more than 200 years of terrorizing the seas, North African piracy was gradually eradicated through military campaigns by several European nations, notably during the 2 Barbary Wars between the United States and Barbary states like Algiers and Tripoli. These fierce battles marked not only the end of the notorious pirate era, but also the near elimination of slave trading in much of the Mediterranean region. The Barbarie pirate shipwreck beneath the Strait of Gibraltar is not merely a relic of the past, but a vivid mirror reflecting the conflicts, struggles, and survival instincts of an era. It was a time when the ocean was not a place of freedom, but a dangerous zone where humans hunted each other for profit and power. This discovery opens an unprecedented opportunity for maritime historians, archaeologists, and anthropologists, as it is one of the very few Barbarie pirate shipwrecks found and preserved well enough to reconstruct its story. With every artifact recovered and every decayed plank of wood examined beneath the sea, the past comes alive, not as myths embroidered in novels, but as cold, harsh historical facts. And sometimes it is these forgotten shipwrecks resting deep below the ocean that hold the darkest, yet most captivating, chapters in the flow of human history. 500-year-old shipwreck reveals medieval shipbuilding revolution in Sweden. Resting deep beneath the icy waters off Landfjorden, south of Stockholm, a shipwreck over 500 years old has just been confirmed as one of the most important maritime relics ever discovered in Northern Europe. More than just a fragment of the past, the ship, currently referred to by the temporary name Wrack 5, challenges previous archaeological understandings of medieval shipbuilding techniques in Scandinavia. Dated to before 1480, possibly as early as the 1460s, Wrack 5 is now the oldest shipwreck in the region built in the Carvel style, a groundbreaking maritime technology at a time when the oceans were becoming battlefields for European powers. Unlike traditional Northern European ships, which typically employed the clinker technique, overlapping wooden planks, the Carvel method used flat planks joined edge to edge to create a smooth, sturdy hull capable of bearing heavy loads. This change was not only a mechanical or aesthetic improvement, but marked a major breakthrough. For the first time in history, ships could carry heavy cannons without breaking or cracking when fired. This is why the Carvel style, originating in the Mediterranean region as early as the 7th century, rapidly spread throughout Europe by the late 15th century, right as the world entered an age of exploration and naval warfare. According to Håkan Altrock, the curator of the Wrack Museum in Stockholm, which studies and preserves shipwrecks, the discovery of Wrack 5 is the key to understanding the transition from traditional to modern shipbuilding techniques in Swedish history. Initially, many believed the shipwrecks at Landfjorden were remnants from the Viking Age, circa 793 to 1066, but thorough research has shown most date from the 17th and 18th centuries. Wrack 5, however, stands out with an age of at least half a millennium. The ship's value goes beyond its age. It vividly illustrates the technological exchange between the cold northern European regions and the warm Mediterranean civilizations. Remarkably, much of the hull remains intact beneath sediment and cold seawater, ideal conditions for preserving wood over centuries. Structural analysis of Wrack 5 also reveals a robust internal framework, strong enough to support heavy artillery, something clinker-built ships could not withstand. Furthermore, dendrochronology, tree ring dating, indicates the timber used to build the ship was felled in the Kalmar or Blekinge regions of southern Sweden, revealing the origins and distribution networks of materials during that period. Not stopping at dating and shipbuilding technique, the archaeological team employed advanced photogrammetry technology to create an extremely detailed digital 3D model of the ship. By combining hundreds of digital photos taken from multiple angles, they reconstructed an accurate three-dimensional spatial representation of every part of the vessel. This not only aids research, but also paves the way for restoration models, allowing the public to admire and understand the unique beauty and structure of a ship that once sailed the cold winds of the Baltic Sea. Wrack 5 is more than just a shipwreck. It represents a turning point in European maritime history, where war, trade, and technology forced empires to evolve or be left behind. This ship is a testament to an era when the sea was no longer a boundary, but a pathway to conquest, where technological advances determined survival on the oceans. From weathered timbers to the hand-built smooth hull created by the carvel technique, everything speaks to the craftsmanship and forward-thinking of shipbuilders over 500 years ago. Today, as the ship rests quietly beneath the sea, it still whispers stories of the past, of the people who built her, sailed her through storms, and finally let her sleep forever at the ocean's bottom. Mysterious shipwreck with hundreds of 800-year-old champagne bottles found at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. At a depth of approximately 190 feet beneath the icy waters of the Baltic Sea, about 20 nautical miles south of Åland Island, Sweden, a team of Polish divers from Baltic Tech discovered a 19th-century sailing shipwreck loaded with luxurious cargo, including more than 100 bottles of champagne, vintage Selters mineral water, and exquisite porcelain, all unopened. This is the first time a shipwreck has been found almost perfectly preserved with such a rare treasure of fine wine. According to team leader Tomasz Staszura, they stumbled upon the wreck while checking sonar signals at sea, and after a brief dive of about 2 hours, they descended to the seabed to explore. Enough time to be amazed when their diving lights revealed barrels of wine filling the ship's hold like a hidden treasure. Many champagne bottles are believed to have been produced by the Louis Roederer house, which made special batches for the court of Tsar Alexander II, or at least targeted the Swedish aristocracy, as some bottle corks bear the letter R. The discovery is further notable for the Selters mineral water bottles made of clay and sealed with stamps from a factory in Hesse, Germany, dating back to the mid-19th century, 1850 to 1867. This mineral water was once considered a royal elixir, reserved for nobility, and shipments were often escorted by police to ensure safety. Stable weather, mild currents, darkness, and the cold temperatures deep under the sea have miraculously preserved both the shipwreck and its contents. The champagne bottles still contain carbonation, and experts believe the yeast and flavor may be intact, possibly still drinkable. The ship likely transported goods from Europe to Northern Europe or Tsarist Russia when it sank. The excavation team hopes to receive permission from Swedish authorities to safely salvage and examine the champagne and Selters bottles, collaborating with wine experts and archaeologists to determine their precise origin and true value. From an archaeological perspective, this is an unprecedented discovery, not only historically valuable, but also opening opportunities to study techniques of preserving liquids in deep ocean conditions. The shipwreck is estimated to date back about 170 years, from the mid-19th century, coinciding with a period of rapid international sea route development. During this time, luxury goods such as champagne from Reims, France, and Selters, mineral water from Germany were commonly transported by merchant ships through the Baltic region. The cause of the sinking remains a mystery, possibly due to lightning strikes, poor navigation, or bad weather. However, the discovery is more than just wine underwater. It is a vivid testament to the 19th century luxury trade network that explains how lavish goods reached European royal courts and aristocracy. At the same time, it serves as a wake-up call for preserving maritime heritage, as each shipwreck is not only an archaeological artifact, but also a part of untold history. In the future, if the ship and its cargo are safely salvaged, a special exhibition on ancient wine from the Baltic Sea could be created, where history, science, and culture intersect. Wine testing might even reveal lost fermentation secrets from the past. Now resting quietly beneath the salty, cold sand, the ship awaits an opportunity to continue its story. One day, we may raise a glass with 170-year-old champagne in a place where past and present meet, rediscovering the original value of Europe's royal wines. The Danish king's shipwreck and its mysterious 500-year-old royal spice cargo. Deep beneath the cold, murky waters off Ronneby in the Baltic Sea, Sweden, the wreck of the Gribshunden, the royal warship of King Hans of Denmark and Norway, has rested since 1495. More than just a historical relic, Gribshunden preserves a uniquely rare royal spice cabinet containing saffron, peppercorns, cloves, and ginger, once symbols of power and timeless wealth. These precious treasures were uncovered under the guidance of marine archaeologist Brendan Foley, along with divers and experts from Lund University, opening a fresh perspective on the lavish lifestyle of medieval European elites. Known as the Lion's Bark, Gribshunden was the flagship of King Hans's fleet. He was en route to Kalmar to attend a critical meeting aimed at persuading Sweden to join the Kalmar Union. In 1495, while preparing to dock at Ronneby, the ship suddenly caught fire and sank to the depths. For over 5 centuries, the wreck remained remarkably well preserved thanks to the Baltic Sea's cold temperatures, low oxygen levels, and low salinity, making it an underwater archaeological gem valued not only for its material remains but also for its cultural memory. Since the 1960s, sporadic excavations recovered intricately carved wooden figureheads and thick timber beams. However, it was only between 2019 and 2021, with the discovery of the spice cargo, that the true opulence of King Hans's royal voyages was fully realized. The spice containers were buried deep in sediment at the rear of the ship, where the king and his court once rested. They appear to have brought short casks of these luxury spices to welcome guests with meals fit for royalty. Most astonishingly, the saffron stigmas have retained their bright orange-red color and signature aroma when dissolved in water, almost miraculous after more than 500 years underwater. This is the first time saffron has been found archaeologically in Northern Europe, making the discovery exceptionally valuable. Alongside saffron, peppercorns, cloves, and ginger, many sourced from India or Southeast Asia, demonstrate that King Hans was not only a European monarch but also a founder of cross-continental trade networks, a testament to the expansion of medieval commerce. Experts agree the Baltic Sea provides an ideal preservation environment for organic materials due to its low temperatures, weak salinity, and oxygen-poor conditions that inhibit microorganisms responsible for decay. This has allowed Gribshunden to retain details once thought impossible to preserve, from wood grain to armor fragments, spice packets, and even the ship's anchor. Biodiversity analysis of sediment samples identified around 40 different plant species, from local berries such as raspberries, cloudberries, and hazelnuts to luxury spices and almonds, proof that the royal palate was as diverse and rich as the political journeys they undertook. Although the spice cargo might appear as small packets, in terms of historical market value, each saffron stigma represented a fortune, exclusively owned by the aristocracy. They were carried not just for comfort, but to signal political status and sophistication during receptions and grand feasts. Thus, Gribshunden was more than a warship. It carried the culture and power of a king to the Kalmar meeting, making its tragic sinking even more historically poignant. Scientifically, this discovery marks a major advance in marine archaeology and archaeobotany. Using photogrammetry and chemical sampling, the research team reconstructed the ship's detailed structure, dated the wood, and traced the origin of the spices, painting a vivid picture of royal living standards and consumption habits during the Renaissance. Today, Gribshunden lies silent on the seabed, but has been revived as a floating museum redolent with saffron, spicy ginger, and pungent pepper aromas. It tells the story of a kingdom that dreamed of building a Nordic union, only to sink into oblivion by an unexpected accident. Thanks to the tireless efforts of archaeologists like Brendan Foley and the Lund team, King Hans's story and Gribshunden live again, not just through historical records, but through the very taste and scent of royal spices preserved beneath the Baltic Sea. So the next time you enjoy a dish flavored with saffron, remember that each stigma may have once graced a royal banquet over half a millennium ago, and now it tells the tale of a peaceful sea heart named Gribshunden. A 2,500-year-old shipwreck in the Aegean Sea. In 2019, during a routine survey, the IPTO Center, the Greek Energy Coordination Authority, accidentally discovered hundreds of ancient Greek ceramic jars scattered on the seabed more than 720 feet deep, near the waters between the small town of Neapolis and the island of Kythera. Following these clues, they uncovered the wreck of an ancient ship, living evidence of a bustling trade era in the Aegean Sea over 2 millennia ago, when the ancient Greek Empire was flourishing. This shipwreck is far from an ordinary one. It is considered an unprecedented archaeological treasure. On its deck, archaeologists found numerous ancient ceramic jars originating from famous islands such as Corfu, Skopelos, and Chios, renowned centers of trade and pottery production in antiquity. The concentration of these jars at one site indicates this was once a major shipping route, linking the islands with mainland Greece and, more broadly, the Mediterranean. This discovery sheds light on the scale and sophistication of trade activities some 2,500 years ago. To thoroughly explore the wreck, scientists from the Hellenic Center for Marine Research deployed the oceanographic vessel Aegean, equipped with a state-of-the-art remotely operated vehicle called Max Rover. This technology allowed them to capture detailed images of the wreck, discover additional clay jars from Chios, and identify 3 large pythos containers, a type of massive ceramic vessel used for storing food or goods. Moreover, this technology enabled the team to create a 3D model of the shipwreck, allowing precise measurements of the vessel's size and calculations of the remaining cargo weight on deck, a task requiring both technical skill and patience to reconstruct the entire historical narrative lying beneath the sea. This find marks a turning point not only in Greek archaeology, but also revives a significant part of the Aegean's cultural heritage. Once a hotspot for ancient merchants, ships laden with goods, from ceramics to rare raw materials, linked islands and the mainland, serving as evidence of the prosperity and international trade of the ancient Greek Empire. Previously, another groundbreaking discovery related to an ancient Greek shipwreck was found in the Black Sea in 2018. A 246-foot-long commercial ship, considered the most intact ever excavated in the region, with its mast, rudder, and oars preserved after more than 2,400 years. This shipwreck lies in a famous ship graveyard, where archaeologists have uncovered about 60 other ancient wrecks. This find not only clarifies ancient shipbuilding techniques, but is also crucial for reconstructing trade routes and cargo transport during ancient Greece. Interestingly, this ship evokes legendary tales such as Odysseus's journey in the Odyssey, where he tied himself to the mast to resist the enchanting song of the sirens. The ship's design, resembling depictions on pottery such as the siren vase in the British Museum, not only confirms the actual existence of merchant ships portrayed in ancient art, but also offers a fresh perspective on the link between history and myth. The 2019 Aegean discovery, combined with the Black Sea find, has broadened our understanding of the extent and influence of ancient Greek merchants. John Adams, lead archaeologist of the Black Sea Maritime Archaeology Project, noted that Greek merchants were likely involved not only in trade, but also in coastal warfare. He particularly suggested that some of these ships' main ports were located at ancient settlements along today's Bulgarian coastline, demonstrating the complex and extensive trade networks developed by coastal cities. These discoveries are not merely stories about shipwrecks and artifacts, they are living proof of the remarkable advancements in shipbuilding and commerce in the ancient world. They evoke images of perilous voyages across treacherous seas where sailors faced not only storms, but also warfare, piracy, and historical upheavals. These ships paved the way for cultural and economic exchanges between ancient civilizations, laying the foundations for the modern world. Using modern technology and a passion for discovery, today's archaeologists help us not only see, but also feel the bustling life of ancient Greek merchants, experiencing the flavors of commerce and life from over 2,000 years ago, right beneath the Aegean Sea. Every ceramic jar, every piece of wood remaining, tells a wondrous story about a golden era in maritime history and ancient global trade. As you can see, the mystery of ships lost and sunk decades ago continues to puzzle scientists because the reasons why they sank and what their places in history remain very difficult to uncover. What do you think about this? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any other exciting discoveries. For now, goodbye and see you next time.